Today, we're going to work on solving subtraction word problems using our different strategies of subtraction. So let's watch a video that reviews a subtraction strategy.
Gabriel, you're not sick, are you? Are you here to see the nurse? She just stepped out, but I can help. What's the matter? Is it serious?
No, just a little embarrassing.
I'm gonna be a doctor. There's nothing you can't tell me.
Well, I was practicing my debate speech, and I guess I got a little excited.
What happened?
I fell off the stage and skinned my knee.
Boy, preparing to be president of the United States is dangerous. But don't worry, because I'll have you fixed up in no time. Sit. Okay, I'm gonna make sure the wound is clean now. Dry it up with a gauze pad, pop on a bandage, and voila! All done. Now your body will repair itself within a few days.
Boy, you are good.
Thanks, Gabriel. Now, I just had to make a note of what I used. I'm helping the nurse keep track of how many cleaning wipes, gauze pads, and bandages are in the drawers. Wanna help?
Sure.
These are the cleaning wipes. The nurse started with 659 of them in the drawer and has used 238. If we subtract, we'll know how many are in the drawer now.
Oh, I get it.
Let's expand the numbers to help us subtract. We do that by breaking them up into hundreds, tens, and ones. 659 expands to 600 plus 50 plus 9.
And 238 expands to 200 plus 30 plus 8.
Now, let's subtract them. First, we subtract the ones. 9 ones minus 8 ones is...
1 1.
Now the tens place.
5 tens minus 3 tens is 2 tens. That's 20.
Rightio! And 6 hundreds minus 2 hundreds is 4 hundreds. Put it all together and we have...
400 plus 20 plus 1.
Which is the same as...
421.
Now, let's do the gauze pads.
Okay, but I know a different strategy. It's called the grid method.
Oh, I know that one too. Here, you can use this. The nurse started with 725 gauze pads, and she used 302.
So, if we subtract 302 from 725, we'll know how many are in the drawer. In the top row, we need a 7 in the hundreds place, a 2 in the tens place, and a 5 in the ones place.
Right! Now we need to subtract 302 from that. So in the row below, we need a 3 in the hundred place, a 0 in the tens place, and a 2 in the ones place.
Now let's subtract. Start with the ones. 5 ones take away 2 ones leaves 3 ones.
Now the tens. Take away 0 tens from 2 tens, and we still have 2 tens.
And 7 hundreds take away 3 hundreds leaves 4 hundreds. So, our answer is 4 hundreds, 2 tens, and 3 ones.
So there's 423 gauze pads left. Good work, Gabriel. And speaking of work, isn't it time you got back to it?
Yep. Thanks, Dr. Deb.
Maybe take an extra one, just in case.
I'm just rehearsing my speech. What could possibly happen?
Whoa!
Yep, maybe that's a good idea.
Our learning target today is I can solve subtraction word problems using subtraction strategies. Let's practice that with our mirror words. Mirrors on. I can solve subtraction word problems using subtraction strategies. Let's do that one more time. I can solve subtraction word problems using subtraction strategies. Mirrors off. Great job. Remember to teach that to somebody else. And if you want to do it a silly way, you can. Now let's practice using our subtraction strategies to help us solve word problems. So we're going to use a proof drawing for this first problem. Let's read the problem. Jackson counts bugs in the park. He counts 561 on Monday. He counts 273 fewer than that on Tuesday. How many bugs does he count on Tuesday? Well, when we're solving a problem that has a word that says fewer, then we know that we are comparing. So we're going to want to use comparison bars to set up the information for this problem. Now, as we go through the problem, we want to keep reminding ourselves, how can I explain my thinking about how I solve this problem? So how would I be able to tell somebody else how to do this problem? So let's set up our comparison bars. We know we'll have someone who has more, someone who has less, and then the difference between the two. So Jackson counts bugs in the park. He counts 561 on Monday and 273 fewer on Tuesday. So which day does he count more on? That's right, on Monday. So we're going to put Monday on the top. He counts 561. And then on Tuesday, he counts 273 fewer. So that's the difference. We don't know how many he counted. We just know it's 273 less than it was on Monday. So now let's draw a proof drawing to represent this problem. So we have 561 minus 273 is equal to our unknown amount. So let's draw out 500 61. Now, remember with subtraction, we are going to take away. So we're not adding to our proof drawing, we're going to take away. So when we look at our equation, 273, and we know we need to subtract our ones, we need to be able to take away 3 ones. Do I have enough ones to take away 3? I don't. So I'm going to ungroup a 10 and get 10 ones. And now I have enough to take away 3 ones. 1, 2, 3. So that leaves me with 5 plus 2 more is 7 plus 1 more is 8 ones. Now I need to subtract my tens. Do I have enough tens to take away 7 tens? I don't. I only have 5 tens left. So I'm going to ungroup 100 and I'm going to write 10 tens. Now I have enough tens to take away 7 of them. So I have 5 up here, 6, 7. And that leaves me with 5 plus 3 more is 8 tens or 80. Now I'm going to subtract my hundreds. So I have 2 hundreds. And that leaves me with 2 hundreds left over. So 200 plus 80 plus 8 is 288. Remember, with word problems, we also need our label. So it's 288 bugs. So on Tuesday, he found 288 bugs. Let's do another problem. This time we're going to use our expanded form strategy. So let's read the problem first, and then we'll figure out the information that we're being given, and then we will go through solving it using an expanded form. So Hannah the clown gives out balloons. She gives out 285 at the zoo, and she gives out some more at the amusement park. Altogether, she gives out 503 balloons. How many balloons does she give out at the amusement park? All right, so we know that she gave 285 at the zoo, and some at the amusement park. And that together, or all together, she gave out 503 balloons. So we know that our total balloons is 503, that she gave out 285 at the zoo, and then she gave out some at the amusement park. So we can write this into an equation. 503 is our total minus the 285 at the amusement or at the zoo. And then we can solve to find out how many she gave out at the amusement park. So let's write this out in expanded form. We have 503 minus 285. Remember, we write it in vertical form first. And now we're going to break it apart. So 500 plus 0 tens plus 3. And then 200 plus 80 plus 5. Let's fix that 0. And now we can subtract by our place values. So 3 minus 5. Can I do that? If I have 3 ones, can I take away 5? I can't. So I'm going to ungroup from my tens, except that I have 0 in my tens. So I'm going to ungroup from my hundreds. So 500, if I take away 100 to ungroup it, that leaves me with 400. I'm going to add that 100 to my tens. So I have 0 tens plus 100 is 100. And now I can ungroup from my 100 and take away a 10 to add to my ones. So 100 minus 10 is 90. And then I'm going to add that 10 to my ones. So 10 plus 3 is 13. Now I can do 13 minus 5 is 8. 90 minus 80 is 10. And 400 minus 200 is 200. So 200 plus 10 plus 8 is 218. And it's 218 balloons. Now, remember, as we do this problem, we have to think about, how did I solve this problem? How can I explain how oops, that went the wrong way. How can I explain how I solved this problem? So I would have to be able to explain how, when I didn't have enough ones, I ungrouped from my tens. And because I had no tens, I ungrouped from my hundreds. And then from there, I was able to solve each of those. I also want to make sure that when I'm doing my problem, that I really understand what the problem's asking. Because if I don't set up the correct equation, then I may not solve it correctly because I may not be doing the right equation to match the problem. All right, let's do one more. So we're going to use an open-ended number line for this problem. Colin and Aiden grew 438 melons in their garden. They sold some melons at farmer's market. They have 115 melons left that they didn't sell. How many did they sell at farmer's market? So we know that they grew 438 melons. And they sold some. That's our unknown. We don't know how many they sold. But we know that there's 115 left. So if they started with 438, they sold some and had 115 left. So now we need to write an equation for this. So I have the 115 that are left plus the amount that I sold, which is unknown, and that's equal to 438. Now I can draw my number line and start solving it. So I'm starting at 115, and I need to get to 438. So if I add 5, I can get to 120. And then I can add 30 to get to 150. That's another easy number for me. Because now I can add 50 to get to 200. and then I can add 100 to get to 300, another 100 to get to 400, and then I can add 30 to get to 430, and then add 8 more to get to 438. So let's add up those hundreds. So I have 100, 200. And then my tens, I have 30 and 30 is 60, plus 50 is 110. Now I grouped those the way that I did just to make it easier because I like my doubles, like 30 and 30 is 60. And then I know that 6 plus 5 is 11. So 60 plus 50 is 110. And now I'm going to add in my 5 and my 8. That's 13. And now I can add all that up. So if I add up the hundreds, I have 200 plus 100 is 300, plus my 10 and my 13 is 23. So that's 300, oops. $323. And it's 323 melons. Now let's do a problem. We're going to kind of mix things up a little bit. So I need to figure out if it's addition or subtraction. So those last problems, I told you they were subtraction. So if you knew they were subtraction, you could have taken the numbers and taken the bigger number and just subtracted the smaller number. But you're not always going to know if you have to do addition or subtraction. You're going to have to make sure you read the problem carefully so that you understand the information that's being given. So Lexi is giving out ribbons for a race. She gave out 57 ribbons so far, and she has 349 ribbons left. How many ribbons did she have at the start? So she gave out, okay, she gave away, they left 57 ribbons. And she has 349 ribbons left. What I don't know is how many she had at the start. So since she gave some away, my start number is going to be my total. So I have an unknown total right now. I know she gave away 57 and she has 349 left. Now I know that if I have a missing total and I have two add-ins, that means I'm going to be doing addition. So I'm going to do 57 plus 349 is equal to my unknown total. So let's do this problem with an expanded form. So we're going to write the problem vertically. I'm going to put 349 on top because that number has 3 digits and 57 only has 2. Remember, it doesn't matter when you're adding what order you add the numbers in. But when I write it vertically, it just helps me to make sure that I line numbers up correctly if I put the number that has the most digits on top. Now let's break these apart. We have 300 plus 40 plus 9. And then we have 57. So I have 0 hundredths plus 50 plus 7. And now we're going to add them up. So 9 and 7 is 16. 40 and 50 is 90. And 300 plus 0 hundredths is 300. Now, when I add these up, I know that the 10 from 16, I can add that 10 to my tens. And 90 plus 10 is going to give me 100. So I'm going to add that 100 to my 300. So I'm going to have 400 plus no tens because I regrouped them and made them 100 and the 6 ones that I have left over from 16. So 406. And it was 406 ribbons. Are you ready for one more? I have a tricky one for you now. Okay, last problem, but it's a tricky one. Jared collected 542 sports cards last year. He collected 247 fewer than that this year. How many cards did he, oh, that's a typo, did he collect in both years together? All right, so I know that he collected 542 cards last year, and that the amount that he collected this year was 247 less than that, but I don't know exactly how many it was. So in order to figure out how many he collected in both years together, I need to figure out how many he collected last year, which means this is going to be a two-step problem. So for step one, we're going to solve to figure out how many he collected this year. So last year was 542. This year it was 247 fewer. So let's draw comparison bars. So for this year, or our present year, he collected 542. Last year, we don't know how many he collected, but it was 247 less than this year. So our equation that we can write is 500, oh, my pen's not working, 542 minus 247 equal to our unknown addend. So let's do expanded form for this problem. We have 542. We're going to write that first. Oops, not my plus. That was the last problem. Minus 247. And let's break that apart. So 500 plus 40 plus 2. And then 200 plus 40 plus 7. All right. So as I look at this problem, can I do 2 minus 7? If I have 2, can I take away 7? I can't. So I'm going to ungroup from my tens. So I have 4 tens, or 40. I'm going to take away a 10. That's going to leave me with 30. And I'm going to add that 10 ones to my 2 ones, and I get 12 ones. Now I can subtract. So I have 12 minus 7 is 5. All right, now let's solve the next part. 30 minus 40. If I have 3 tens, can I take away 4? I can't. So I'm going to ungroup from my hundreds. I have 5 hundreds. If I ungroup 1, that leaves me with 400. I'm going to add that 100 to my 30. I'm going to write it over here because I'm out of room. So I have 130. Now I can subtract 40. So 130 minus 40, I can think 13 minus 4, and that's 9. So 130 minus 40 is 90. And now I can subtract my hundreds. So I have 200. So 400 minus 200 is 200. I have 200 plus 90 plus 5. So 295 cards for this year. Now let's think about what we need to do to solve the problem. We want to know how many cards he collected in both years together. So I want to know a total. I know I had 542 last year and 295 this year. So let's draw a proof drawing for this one. I have 500s, 4 10s, and 2 1s. And then I have 200, 9 10s, and 5 1s. And then since we're adding, we're putting together, which means we can combine our proof drawings. So 2 1s plus 5 1s is 7 1s. And then I have 9 10s plus 4 10s, so 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, that's over 100. So I'm going to make a new 100. So this is a new 100. And that leaves me with 3 tens or 30. Now I can count up my hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus the one I regrouped is 8. So 800 plus 30 plus 7. So Jared has 837 sports cards. Great job using your strategies to solve word problems today, both with subtraction and a little bit of addition mixed in with that too. Let's review today's learning target. Mirrors on. I can solve subtraction word problems using subtraction strategies. Mirrors off. Great job. I know today's lesson was a little bit long. Hopefully you were able to take a break in between the problems so that you could get up and get a stretch break. But understanding how to solve subtraction and addition word problems is really important, and using those subtraction strategies that you've learned is also really important. So I'm really proud of you for spending the time today to watch those videos. Now go get the practice.